First, East Midlands today can reveal that hundreds of people in this region have been found sleeping rough during the pandemic. At the beginning of lockdown, every rough sleeper was offered a hotel room. Now, that scheme succeeded in getting many people into permanent homes. But charities are now dealing with this new influx of rough sleepers, as our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Bull reports.
This is my new home.
A COVID success story. Welcome to John's new flat in Nottingham. John was housed here weeks after being evicted on the day the national lockdown started. He was out on the streets at 77 years old.
I was locked out and desperate. I hadn't lain down for 3 days, isolated, alone. I suffered really badly, the cold, at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
And how much difference has it made to you having this flat here?
It was absolutely wonderful. The contrast of being locked out in March and now I'm accommodated and secure. The best situation I've experienced in really 25 years.
John was helped off the streets as part of a national scheme called Everyone In, which offered all rough sleepers somewhere to stay during the COVID crisis. The vast majority accepted that offer. Dozens ended up at this Nottingham hotel, where professionals helped them with everything from addiction to finding a home.
Everywhere closing seemed to scare even some of the most entrenched rough sleepers. Day centres, even libraries, soup runs, they all kind of closed overnight really. So some people we've been working with for 2 or 3 years managed to go into kind of longer term accommodation. I think what it's really shown is just a glimmer of what can happen when the resources and political willpower are in place.
But it hasn't solved rough sleeping because newly homeless people have replaced them since the end of March. We've been told that 160 new individuals have been found sleeping rough in Nottingham. Another 42 have been discovered sleeping on the streets of Leicester. In Mansfield, the council's identified 16 new rough sleepers and 8 newly homeless people have been found on the streets of Derby.
We're still seeing such huge numbers of new people that we'd never met before, which I think really shows how much work is likely to take and also how precarious people's housing situations are.
For John, the future's looking bright. But many people who've been on the streets need a lot more support, and finding them a permanent home will be a huge challenge.
Well, tonight we can reveal a major new plan to tackle that challenge in Nottingham. Jeremy Ball is in the city for us now. Jeremy, what have you been told?
Well, Dominic, they're making plans for a brand new centre that would house around 40 rough sleepers. This would replace some of the shared night shelters that had to close because of the pandemic. Those services currently being provided in those expensive hotel rooms. I'm told, though, that the council is now trying to secure a permanent building, accommodation that would include a range of support services.
A bit of a flagship service of a homeless facility with wraparound health services actually visiting rough sleepers at the actual building. What we found obviously is that asking people who don't have a permanent home to make appointments at different medical facilities across the city just doesn't work.
So how is all of this being funded?
Well, Nottingham City Council's hoping to get money from what's known as the Next Steps programme. Now, this is a new government fund to tackle rough sleeping. The council, though, worried that the grant for those hotels is due to run out next week, and it says it's now being forced to rely on funding which it needs for adult social care. The Ministry of Housing, though, says it's spending unprecedented amounts, hundreds of millions of pounds on tackling rough sleeping across the country. And this is all being led by the Newark MP, Robert Jenrick.
Many of these people are not just homeless, but they also have mental health and addiction problems as well. But we're committed to working with charities and councils to do that. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We know where people are, we know who they are, and local councils have been caring for them now for several weeks. We have to seize this as one of the few silver linings in the dark cloud of COVID.
Now, one other challenge coming up in the next fortnight is an end to the ban on evictions during the COVID crisis. Now, the government says there are going to be safeguards for tenants who are vulnerable. The charity shelter, though, says it's really worried that that could lead to a flood of new homelessness.
OK, Jeremy, thank you.